Hello and welcome. I hope you're safe and well. Today's exciting episode is a part one of a leather jacket. I have had this faux leather for the longest time. And yeah, I decided to make a very beaded jacket, and it's got so much beading that I'm only halfway done. But it's time for another episode, so here we go. The Yaffa jacket, part one.
It's perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Perfect jacket.
I saw this thing on Twitter and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to make a jacket inspired by that. And so I needed khaki, and I've got like 3 or 4 khaki wools and tweeds that I haven't made up yet. So I was getting them out. And then I saw this gold faux leather that I've had for like a billion years. And I was like, no, that one is absolutely perfect. So I was thinking about using the Vogue 7975, but I'm doing beadwork on the sleeves. So I was like, no, I'll use the wider sleeve one. And actually, now that, and then after I'd cut them out, I was like, actually, I think what I'll do, I'm just showing you the black backing. So it's like this thick mesh, which has it's all stretchy, so you need a backing fabric. And then it's got this foam stuff, which is the faux leather, and then it's got like the layer of gold paint over the sprayed in layers over the top. So it does look leather-esque, but it's very fake. And so I've cut out all the pieces, and because I'm doing a fair amount of beading, I've got 2 layers of everything, and I've sort of laid them out from the front, the sides, the back, the other side, and the front. And then the paler one is just the inside front, like the lining piece of the front is also going to be leather, but obviously you don't have beads on the inside, so I only need 1 backing piece for that. So I've cut out all my pieces and also the sleeves. So then I laid them out in order, and I pinned all 3 layers together, so 2 backing fabrics plus 1 piece of faux leather on each of them, and on the inside front pieces there's just 1 backing and 1 bit of faux leather. So they're all lined up. Now I'm not sewing them all together, which is what I normally do. What I'm doing now is I'm going to need 2 front panels, 1 back panel, so they're sort of going to be in shells, and then I'm going to do some beading, and once the beading's done, then I'll be able to sew them together, and that way it will just make it easier to get to the points where I need to bead. So I've carefully, leather is so difficult to pin. Oh my goodness. It's really, really difficult to pin. It's also really difficult to sew. You need Microtex needles to sew it. But so I've pinned all the torso of the jacket. That's ready to sew, machine sew. And now I've just got to pin the sleeves. So this is the upper sleeve, the big part of the sleeve, and then the under sleeve is, at first I pinned them together and I was going to make the sleeve the normal way, and then I was like, actually, if I half make them, then I can do the beading and then very, very carefully turn it out. Normally you wouldn't be able to do this, but the beading is kind of high up on the sleeve, so it won't be at risk. When you turn it out, you sort of have to turn the whole thing inside out, and it's quite the process. And it can wreck a tweed if you're doing a tweed jacket and you turn it out the wrong way. You're not careful enough. And it's the same with beading. It puts stresses on all the wrong parts. So what I'm going to do is sew one side, and this is me showing you Microtex needles. They're just much sharper than a regular needle, and once people first discover Microtex needles, they kind of go crazy and use them on everything. Personally, I think quilting needles are best for cotton, and Microtex is best for things that are difficult. And denim needles are obviously best for thicker tweeds and denim. So anyway, I've done I did all the machine sewing very carefully. It is so difficult to sew leather. But if you have a new machine, you kind of need one of those big, heavy, vintage metal machines to sew leather together, or faux leather. If you don't have one of them, just just do hand sewing. It's absolutely fine. It's actually better, but it's quicker to do machine sewing. And you can't stitch into the outer leather, so you can just put a plastic ruler underneath, and that way you just sew the layers you're supposed to sew, not the outer layer. And I did catch a couple of bits of the outer fabric, but it's fine. And so now I've got my two fronts that are on the outside, and I've got my back panel, and I've got my two sleeves. Nothing is completely made, which would be very annoying, except that it's going to allow me to do the beading without having to reach across absolutely everything. So it will make the beading process slightly quicker. This is actually quite daunting because I've drafted out all the bits of the templates for the beading, and I've got one piece that goes on the back, I've got one piece that goes on the front, on each front, and then I've got two pieces that go on each sleeve, one at the top and one at the cuff. So what I have to do is put pins in. You're not supposed to put pins in leather, I know, but I had to mark out. You can't draw on it. I suppose if you like invisible pens, you can, but they always come back in the cold, so I don't know why people use invisible pens. It's leather. It's not like you get faux leather. It's not like you can wash it or anything. Anyway, so I drafted out my piece, my template for the back, and I've written the colors on it as well. So I did an original piece, and then I copied it onto tissue paper, and what I'm going to do is just bead over it and then pull off the tissue paper, like tear off bits, and then the little bits remaining I'll just use tweezers to pick them out. But for the front panels, it's sort of 3 panels of color, and I decided to just measure it and put pins in the points, and then I tied aqua colored thread between each of them so that I've got my straight lines and I know where to bead, but I won't have to be forever picking tissue. Like the tissue paper template wouldn't have worked on those particular sections, but it's kind of working on the back section. It's still going to be a total pain picking out all this tissue paper, but it was the best of a lot of difficult options. So I suppose if I did it again, I could have cut, like the middle section is going to be white, and I suppose I could have carefully cut out the white section and just left the other sections in and beaded over those, because the white section is going to be particularly difficult to get the tissue paper out of. But basically I'm doing the edges of each section, then I'll take the tissue paper out, and then I'll finish the rest of the beading. But obviously with the white one, I'm using bows because I actually don't buy many white beads, just not something I buy. And because I buy colourful tweeds because I love colours, and buying white beads, it just feels like watering down all the beautiful colors. Anyway, so the back is really difficult, so I took a break from that and I started one of the sleeves, and the sleeve has 3 different colors in it, and I did the first one, and then the second one I actually cut out the arrow and did the beading in it. You can only cut out one at a time, and now I'm putting in the black as well. And once I've done the majority of the beading, I'll take out all the tissue paper, then I'll add a few more beads, and yeah. I love those white bows in this one. I don't have very many of these white bows. I think I had 9 of them. I used 1 in the back, 3 on this sleeve, so I'll have to use 3 on the other sleeve. And I only have 1 each side for the front. I should have kept more, shouldn't I? I do have some more of those scrawny, thin ones that I've used on the back. I'll see how they go on the back, and then maybe I'll add some more to the front. It will be good to use them up. But for now, I'm going to continue with this sleeve. I've also done a triangle at the bottom, but this is just the first sleeve. I still have the other sleeve to go. This beading takes a remarkable amount of time to do. And once I've done the 2 sleeves, I will finish the back, and then it will be time to do the front. Goodness. Once I finish the sleeves, I might sew the sleeves together, and yeah, because that's going to be a production. I have to stitch back the seam allowance and then turn the whole thing inside out. Goodness. But yeah, I love the mix of beads. It took me forever to collect all the beads, and I wasn't really sure what colours to use. Like, are these reds too dark? Are these reds too light, fluoro or light? And it took me a while, but I feel like I'm getting into the groove now. Wow, I edited that a while ago, and it feels like a million years that I edited that ago. So I realized I watched it back as well, and I realized I didn't show you some of my tweets. So I quickly grabbed a couple. There's two more khaki, or I know some of you say it khaki, but khaki wools and tweeds, but these and I also have the gold Marc Jacobs. I have the black and khaki Linton tweed, and I have a couple more wools, and that flamingo one looks very pink. It's actually khaki and pink woven, like one's woof, one's weft. And yeah, I wasn't sure I was going to have enough white and red beads to do the design. So I was like, but I do have loads of pink, like loads of pink. So I was going to do pale pink instead of white, and hot pink or dark pink instead of red. So that's why I have that one out. I still might do that actually, like a little girly version of this design, because this design is so intricate and so demanding. And yeah, I'm impressed with the type of technique you need to make this. So anyway, yeah, I can't even remember where I am. So this is me just showing you where I'm up to now. So I've done a little bit more on everything. So I abandoned the first sleeve because it's just so much work involved in this. So I tried to do one front because it kind of also wanted to work out how much time this jacket is going to take, because it feels like it's going to take forever. And yeah, so I'm using heavy beads. There are a lot of glass beads. If you can tell, there's only like 5 or 6 plastic ones in there compared to the other white ones are clearly almost exclusively plastic. There's a few small faceted glass beads. Faceted is where it's got all the different angles, and because it's faceted, they actually cut quite a lot of the glass off it, so it's a lot lighter than a standard round glass bead. So I could use them in the white and the red sections as well. But at the bottom, you need weight for the jacket to sit properly, which is why the black section is mainly big, solid glass beads. And yeah, and then I think this is me showing you. Oh, so I decided I'm also sort of juggling what beads I have. So I sort of had to do the outlines, and then I picked out all the I had to leave a couple of sections in because the line is quite jaggedy, and I had to leave it there to ensure I got the right outline of the beads. But for the most part, I carefully picked out all the bits, and with the arrows on the sleeves, I carefully cut out a couple of bits of those. And this is me showing you the triangle. Yeah. It's just really awkward having the triangle on there first. So on the second sleeve, I'm going to do the 3 panels first, then I will add the triangle, because having the weight of that red triangle at the bottom, it's just it makes the arrow beading really, really difficult to do, because it's easier if you can just sort of flip the sleeve around and then flip it around again whenever you want to. And you can't really do that if you've already done the triangle. So yeah, and I'm really, really happy with the mix of beads. Like, I wasted at least half the weekend. Well, not wasted, used up half the weekend going through my beads. I got out like 7 or 8 boxes of beads. And at this point, all my beads are mixed. There's like a yellow box, which is mostly yellow. And there's like an aqua box, which is kind of mostly pastel yellow, aqua, blue, and green, light green ones. And like, you would not believe how much time this took. And because it's leather too, like you can't make a mistake, and you just have to be so extremely careful about where you pin it and how you pin it so that it doesn't leave marks. And yeah, I'm really impressed. And I wasn't sure about these bows. I wasn't sure if you'd see the overall design, because the bows by themselves, if you just see one, they're actually quite striking. So I didn't use them in the red section. I did have some red ones. I didn't have any green ones. So, and the green section on the back is quite small anyway. So I couldn't use them on that. But I do have some white ones, and I did have some black ones. So, and I think they go really well. I'm glad I didn't use the big bows on the front. And I'm still not sure about using the small bows on the front, but I didn't really have a choice. I needed something that wasn't heavy, that could feel a lot, and I really do not have that many white beads. I have some beautiful glass ones, but this is me just wondering if there's a few spots in the triangle that could probably use a few more beads. And I feel like I used a few too many see-through ones, transparent ones, whereas I probably should have used a few more solid ones. And I also did a sample of the red bit on the front. The reason that the sleeves are arrows up is that's the correct way to do them. But the reason I had to turn it around and do them arrows down on the front of the jacket is that you need weight at the bottom of the jacket. So yeah, I actually wasn't going to do this design. This is the proper design on the back. And this is me just, giving you a close-up of... I'm just trying to work out how to do all this intricate bit without removing the tissue paper first. I ended up doing it piece by piece. I sort of put cuts in the tissue paper, then pulled it out as I went. And this is me showing you the butterfly. I actually did 2 butterflies. The sequin butterfly, the novelty sequin in the shape of butterflies, I used 2. So I used one flat on the fabric, and then it's really difficult because it's like a button. It's got 2 bits that you stitch on. So I stack them on top of each other, and the top one I fold the wings so they're it looks like it's flying, but you don't see the fabric underneath because this is the second one. And and this is because I have such a limited amount of beads that of the small ones that sort of fit properly. I had to work out how I could make the 2, because these 2 have to have the same amount of weight, because you want the sleeves to have the same amount of weight, but you also want them to look quite similar. So I sort of had to doll out, like, I'll use this for this sleeve and I'll save this for the second sleeve. And it takes a lot longer to do it that way, but you get the weight is even. The same with the black one, because I'm using up beads basically. I had a few big ones, so like half of them, 3 went in one side, 3 were set aside for the other side, and that went pretty well. I still have some seed beads to do on the white sections. And then you can sort of see the pins where the neckline is going to go, and the actual straight line goes outside the neckline. So I'm just doing the bottom half of the red, and then once I've done enough, once I've done more on the black, all of the white and the bottom half of each red, then I'll sew the whole jacket together. And then I'll finish, like once the jacket is made and the neckline is done, then I'll finish the red. But it's just going to be so much easier if I do the bottom half of the red now. So I'm just and this is me sort of reminding myself that, so the black beads are all heavy glass or solid glass ones, because I just need that massive amount of weight at the bottom. And I suppose if I'd done the arrows the other way, then there would have been more at the bottom. But I really need the point, like that front corner, to be heavy. So I don't know. I guess I can do another one and turn them up the other way, turn the arrows up the other way, and see how it goes. If you were doing tweed, I suppose you could do the arrows the other way. but because it's faux leather and it's just a bit more bulky and not as pliant as a tweed, I just felt like this was the safer way to go. And this is a good way of like cutting out each arrow as I'm going. That made it much easier to bead, but it was still quite difficult because it's only tissue paper that I'm working around. And if you accidentally tear it or like push it too hard or run your needle across it, then it tears and you have to like pin it back together, but it's leather, so you can't pin it. Oh, and this is the part where I did the beautiful emerald. So I did the red, and then I did the green, and then I did the black, and then I still haven't finished the white. But the emerald section is by far my favourite because I had such a difficult time deciding what green to use because I didn't really have the green that was required. I sort of get either really dark green beads because those are the sort of tweeds I'm attracted to, or the really bright ones. And I also have all these gorgeous emerald, like all different flowers. So I was going to use them on a triangle on a different jacket, but now that I know I can actually do this design, it is extremely difficult to do. It's much more difficult than a triangle, but yeah, I think maybe what I'll do is a whole, like a secret garden, green secret garden in that shape. On a different jacket, obviously, because oh my gosh, I love working with green beads. I guess it must have been must be a while since I've done a green jacket. I think the last one was the orange Chanel tweed that are completely covered in green beads. Oh, that was amazing because I initially, with the orange Chanel tweed, I originally was going to make the beading match exactly the tweed. It's kind of orange and apricot and yellow, and it's got all these flecks of different colors in there, but it also had these tiny flecks of fluoro green. And yeah, so I took off the initial beading and ended up putting on the green, and I love it so much. Anyway, so I finally finished the sleeves. I had been cutting away the tissue paper bit by bit as I went, but obviously I've just got that last bit to go. You sort of have to leave it in so that you can get the straight lines. And here we go. Isn't this amazing? I still haven't done the triangle on the bottom of the second one, but I was just concerned that they will both be the same because the way you bead is kind of, when you write when you're upset and it's different to when you write when you're calm. It's the same with beading or hand sewing. You worry that your mood will impact the rhythm of how you bead. And I was just very relieved that they all look the same. And yeah, I've never done any sort of beading like this before, and I'm really happy with it. I was worried that it wouldn't look good, but I think it looks like it's supposed to. So I still have to do the other triangle. The pins are holding up. It's just like pins with a little bit of thread tied around them. So I'm glad that they're holding up. And yeah, this is what it's like at the moment. I still have a long way to go, but I know what I'm doing for each bit. I know that it's going to work, except those white bows in the middle. Don't be surprised if I take them all off and just do something else. But I don't really have any other beads, so it's kind of what it is. But I think I'll just put a lot of seed beads over the top. I've got I've got this tiny little container of seed beads, white seed beads, and it's enough to do the whole of those two panels on either front piece. There are my pins for the triangle. I'm a bit apprehensive about sewing the sleeves together and then turning them in the right way. That's going to be difficult, but yeah, I'm pretty certain it's not going to wreck any of the beading just because I did it so high up on the sleeve. And here's the back. Honestly, I love that green so much, and it's just shaping up so beautifully. And I have to do the two fronts first, and once I finish them, there's going to be a couple of bows left over, I'm pretty certain. So what I'm going to do is put them in the gaps that you're seeing, and I've sort of just added 4 in there, and hopefully there'll be 6 left over because there's another 2 spots. And once that's done, I'll add smaller faceted beads and then in the bigger holes, and then I'll add so these are the smaller faceted ones and those plastic beads, and then that's the little container of seed beads that I have. So I've got enough of each of the beads to go, and some small sequins and some larger round flat sequins as well. So there's enough to be getting on with. And yeah, I love that emerald green section. It's so good. It's just because I forgot to show you my beads over on the sideboard. I actually forgot to take footage of them. Anyway, in part 2, I'll show you all the beads. But yeah, there we go. That's where I'm up to at the moment. A lot of the beading is done, and I know what is remaining that's required. And then once that's done, I have more sewing to do to turn it into a jacket, and then just a small amount of the red beading to finish. So thank you very much for watching. I know it's annoying when I make videos where there isn't something completed at the end, but oh my goodness, the amount of work involved in this jacket is staggering. So yeah, but I'm just so glad that I've been able to do this. As soon as I saw the picture of what inspired this jacket, I really wanted to do it. And I was like, I don't know if I can. I don't know if because as I said, I've never done a jacket like this before. It's very figurative, like it's supposed to represent something, whereas normally I just sort of do some beading, it's very organic looking, and if it works out, it works out. Whereas this, like, if you do it wrong, you're going to know that it's wrong. So, yes, I was worried about it, but I think I'll get there eventually. So I'll just have to keep plodding away at it. Anyway, thanks again for watching. I hope you've been inspired to tackle a really difficult, really complex sewing project, because they're definitely worthwhile. Anyway, thanks again for watching, and happy sewing and beading. This green section here reminds me of Emerald City from The Wizard of Oz, and I went the entire video without singing a single song from Wizard of Oz. Gold star for me. Somewhere Over the Rainbow, that is a song I sing at least once a day. I love it. I just love it so much. Anyway,